Today's video is a social game changer. It's how to be likable at parties. And I promise it's easier than you think.
It's gonna be a good day, great day with Myka Meier.
Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video I'm crazy about because it's so usable. Think about once you're out and socializing, it's just so sometimes overwhelming to walk into a party and not know anybody. And how do you make yourself come across likable and approachable? And really, once you learn a couple tiny tips and tricks, it's a social game changer. You will be able to use these every single time you socialize from now on. There's a lot of information in today's video, so we're gonna jump straight into it. So you know when you go to a party and there's always just this one person or couple or just like this amazing likable personality that is so charismatic and just so approachable, and we can probably all think of that one person, right? So I'm going to share a couple of things that I personally have discovered that have helped me be more approachable and likable at parties so that you can practice this at home too. Okay, tip number one, if you walk into a party and the party has a host, or maybe it's a couple hosting it, maybe it's a family, the etiquette is to walk straight up and introduce yourself or say, if you already know them, thank you so much for having me, whatever it might be, but it's always polite to kind of announce yourself. This is also interesting because often these people are already socializing with people and will introduce you instantly. You could have those first few connections with people you didn't know in the first couple minutes you walk in. Now, let's say you don't have a host of the actual party. It's a big networking event or an organization has put it on. Then that rule, of course, doesn't apply. Now, the first thing I want you to do to look approachable is to walk in. If you have anything in your hand, so maybe it's something you're carrying or a handbag, you put it over your left side, your left shoulder, or you hold in your left hand so your right hand is open to shake, meet, greet, so you don't have to shift hands and arms when you walk into a party. But to look approachable, there are a couple really key elements here I want you to take into account. The first thing is not looking down. Now, it's one of those things when we walk in, and sometimes when you make an entrance, the door physically opens, people hear and they turn, or the energy of the room shifts and people look at you. And that can be a little uncomfortable when all eyes are on you. And if you're looking down or you're feeling shy or self-conscious, then you're telling people, I don't want to talk. I don't want to socialize, even though I'm here. So you're giving those signals off instantly, maybe without even knowing it. So instead, when you walk in, instead of, I always call it in my books, our adult comfort blanket is the telephone, you put your phone away. Do not take out the phone when you feel awkward and look at it and pretend you're scrolling through or you're texting your friend to find out where they are. Keep your phone out of sight because by looking down, it makes you instantly unapproachable. The next thing I want you to do is, if you don't have to say hello to your host, I want you to go to the bar. Go to the bar, don't go get food first, because by putting food in your mouth, you're again telling people, I'm not approachable, I'm busy, I'm eating. So you go to the bar, you get yourself a drink, because somebody who walks, around a party and has their arms to their side, just doesn't look like they're there to stay and have fun and socialize. Someone who's holding a drink, doesn't have to be alcoholic, is walking around and it's like, hi, here to stay, hello everyone. So you're kind of using that as a tool. It also gives you something to do with your hands because people are awkward with their hands. And so when you have a drink in your hands, it just makes you look a little bit more sociable and like you're here, you're ready to party. So those are the first tips on how to be approachable when you walk into a party. Tip number 2 is facial awareness. Now, I know you might be thinking, what on earth is she talking about? Facial awareness, but this is so important. When you walk into any room, especially a party, your approachability factor, we've already just talked a little bit about, but I want you to think about what your face is saying. So there's a Princeton study that actually concludes that people make a judgment on you or your personality within 1/10 of a second. Think about that, 1/10 of a second. So often people walk into parties or rooms and their lips are pinched. And it's almost like a tense or anxious look, and you might not even be aware of it. But people who are likable, when they walk into the room, their mouths are open. It's one of the biggest body language secrets that really seems and sounds obvious, but people don't follow it. So when you walk into the room, or when you observe someone who's really charismatic walking into a room, somebody who's happy, they're exuding happiness, their mouths are open. So you walk in and it's eyes open, mouth open, and you're showing receptiveness. You're here to stay. You're excited to be here. Hi, everyone. You're not walking in like that. It instantly closes you off and makes you unlikable. So I want you to think about your resting face, your resting facial awareness. And I want you to be very conscious that your mouth is open and it's in conjunction with your eyes. So your eyes are also opening, and that's like openness to likability. Next tip, never walk into a party low energy. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, what do you want me to do? Like, how do I shift my energy? I cannot tell you how important this tip is. You have never seen the most likable person at the party sitting in the corner, slumped, looking like this, tired. I have days, trust me, where I have just traveled to 2-3 cities in the past 48 hours, and I'm so tired. I can't even tell you, but I get invited to a party and I go, and no matter what, I'm gonna show up, because I'd rather not go than show up low energy. So maybe it's for you, an espresso before you go to the party. Maybe it's a nap before you go to the party. I've been known before I go on stage. I remember I flew to California to give a keynote speech, and I was so tired. I can't even tell you. I was jet lagged. And I was so desperate because I know how important energy is. I was in the back doing jumping jacks. No joke. I was in the back doing jumping jacks because I was like, you got to get it up. So there's a couple breathing exercises you can also practice, because breathing, believe it or not, gives you a boost of oxygen to your brain and helps you come alive and awake. There's a breathing exercise called the 5x5 by Dr. Shane Volney. If you Google it, it's also in my business etiquette book. You can read that, and I do that as well. It's all about energy. So I want you to, whatever you have to do to get that energy up before you walk into the room, I promise you, it's much more likable than the person who walks in nice and calm and just saunters over and stands in the corner. It just doesn't make you as approachable and look confident and therefore likable. Next tip, now here's where my etiquette training comes in. It's all about posture. So when you walk in, I don't care if you're wearing the greatest outfit in the room. You are wearing that smoking dress that you love, that you feel so good in. Your suit is perfection. It doesn't matter what you are wearing. If you're slumped to the side, if you're leaning over, it does not matter what you're wearing. Your posture makes you attractive. Your posture shows confidence. Confidence is attractiveness. Confidence is happiness. Confidence is completely shown through your body. So I want you to roll your shoulders back, and your chin should be parallel to the floor at all times. Now, I know this is it sounds obvious, but I cannot tell you the amount of people in the corner leaning up against a sofa, showing that person who's talking to them they are not interested in what they're saying. And then the next person looking at you certainly doesn't want to approach you or talk to you if that's your body language. So it is posture. And posture is when you're sitting, standing, walking. I want you to work on it. It shows confidence. I am here and I'm happy, and everyone at this party wants to talk to me because I am a light of shining positivity and energy, and I'm going to pass it on to whoever I'm talking to. So remember that one. It's really easy to fix, but if you have bad posture, practice that at home so it doesn't feel strange when you first walk into a party and you adjust yourself. Next tip is confidence. So the most likable people are people that are confident. They walk into the room and they just exude, they ooze confidence. Who is that person? How can I talk to that person? It's almost just like this, like we crave energy and confidence. And if somebody else is showing that, it's almost like, oh, you gravitate toward that person, right? It's kind of like the law of attraction. So I just want to explain one thing about confidence, and maybe you think, oh, well, this is impossible to achieve to become more likable. It is not. I can promise you that. So remember this. There's a difference between confidence and self-esteem. This is really important. So confidence can change minute to minute, second to second, month to month. Now, self-esteem is that thing that we have to work on over a lot of time. Self-esteem doesn't typically change day to day. It's something that could be long rooted from childhood or your teen years, and it's something that we constantly have to work on. Confidence is something that you might put on your favorite outfit and look instantly and feel instantly more confident. So confidence is what we want to focus on at a party, not self-esteem, because that is a whole different video. So confidence, I want you, when you want to go to a party and you want to be likable, I want you to be confident. How do you become confident? I actually include a formula in one of my books to instantly become more confident. But the thing about confidence is that I want you to make sure that you're changing your confidence when you walk into that party so it's as high as it possibly can be. So I want you to wear that outfit you feel confident in. If there's something that's trendy going on and you feel like you should wear it because it's trendy, don't wear it. You're not going to feel confident in it. Wear something that makes you feel amazing. Maybe it's your favorite accessory. Maybe it's your favorite, color. For me, it's red lips. I always have red lips and my hair slicked back. And that's just my thing. That's how I feel most confident. So that's how I dress myself every day. So I just want you all to make sure that you're walking in and you are in a place that feels amazing, because if you're not, that is going to really affect everything else. So just confidence, confidence, confidence. And however you have to achieve that, and again, I give a lot of good tips in my books, then that is what you should do. No matter what, don't talk only about yourself. In fact, the first kind of 10 minutes of a conversation, I am asking other people questions about themselves. I'm rarely ever talking about myself unless somebody specifically asks me a question. So the most likable people are ones that are showing interest in other people, because it feels good when someone shows interest in you. It feels so nice. It's like, oh, wow, this person's interested in me. It doesn't matter, I'm not talking about dating necessarily. I'm talking about a platonic relationship of two people that could just be friends. It doesn't even matter, or it could be dating. But it's all about showing people interest. There's nothing worse than being stuck in a conversation with somebody and all they're doing is talking about themselves. They're just like, you're like, okay, wow, that's great. And then you can't wait to get out of the conversation. Likable people are so intrigued by other people, and even if it's not necessarily natural for that person, the fact that they're making effort and showing you feels so great. And I instantly like people who are showing me that they are interested in maybe what I'm saying, what I'm doing, who I am, and vice versa. So that is the next secret to likability. I want you to ask questions about that person. You can think of questions ahead of time, it's just one of those things that sometimes if you have a hard time coming up with a conversation, you can pre-plan your topics. I call them my back pocket 3, it was really 3 questions you come up with ahead of time that you can kind of pull out of your back pocket whenever you need to. But these are just really easy, simple things, and at the end of the day, likability can be created. Next tip, say someone's name. Say someone's name. So maybe it's like, John, what you just said really kind of hit me. I really could relate to what you just said. I love that. That was such a great point. So I'm not only just saying John's name, but I'm also complimenting John in the same sentence. So that's something. And then when I'm introducing John to someone else, maybe Sarah walks into the conversation. John, may I please introduce you to Sarah? And then I give them something to talk about. Sarah has actually been a friend of mine for 5, 6, 7 years here in New York now. Yes. So I've just met John, and then you say what you were talking about with John so that you kind of open your circle and then you make it more social and fun like that. But that's one very important one to remember. Now, okay, you look confident, you feel confident. Somebody has approached you because you looked approachable, or maybe you got up the confidence to approach someone else. So now you're in conversation. What is the next tip to becoming likable at parties, or maybe you're standing with a group of people? I want you to evoke positive emotion in whoever you're speaking to. So let's say somebody walks up to you and introduces themselves. Then it's really easy, again, to just kind of have a bland conversation, especially if you're not interested in that person. But remember, other people around you are still observing you with this other person. Maybe if the person is somebody you're interested in, then it's kind of easier. But I want you here to remember your key, the whole key of how to be charismatic and how to be likable is to evoke positive emotion in someone else. Now, this isn't negative emotion, this isn't any emotion, it's a positive emotion. So maybe it's a compliment. Your goal is to make that person that you are talking to feel good. Because the moment they feel good, their energy shifts. They start enjoying the conversation. Then suddenly you two are having a great conversation. Then you're attracting more people into the conversation. You are not only likable to that person because you're making them feel good, but other people are seeing this as well. So I want you to compliment that person. Remember, make it a genuine compliment. I want you to show interest in that person. So it's all about, really, not ever looking to the side when someone's talking to you. Imagine you're talking to me right now and I'm looking around the party. I'd rather you not even be talking to that person. So focus on that person. Make that person feel $1 million when you're talking to them, even if it's just for 2 minutes. Your job is to be likable, to make that person feel like they're liked, and then that's going to be a ripple effect throughout the rest of the party. Next tip, no matter what, no matter how bad of a day you have had that day, if anyone asks you how you are, how your week's going, no negatives at a party, ever. People are not at a party to meet negative Nancy. That's for sure. So instead, no matter how hard, maybe it rained on you the entire way to the party and you are a drowned rat, right? That's how you feel. It doesn't even matter if you walk into the party and someone's like, "Hi, Myka, how is your day? How are you?" The last thing they want to know is how hard of a day I've had. Instead, you're not expected to lie, of course. You're not expected to say you're doing great if you're not. But I might say, if I've had the worst day ever, it's been an interesting day or an interesting week, but I am so happy to be here. And then flip the switch. How are you? If you don't want to talk about yourself. But it's all about, again, positivity. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Nobody is there to socialize with negativity. You want to exude positivity. I want you to smile. It's something that we were taught when we were small children. When you want to walk up and introduce yourself or make new friends, your parents, your teacher taught you, go up and you smile and you introduce yourself, right? It's instant. It makes somebody feel good. It's like instant likability. But often people at parties are just standing in the corner. "Hi, how are you? Good. How are you? Good." Oh, yeah, right? Nobody wants to go up and talk to somebody who is just stone-faced. I want you to smile and I want you to make it feel genuine. I'm smiling at you, and let me guess, you're probably smiling back, right? Because you feel good if somebody's showing interest in you. It's an instant mood booster. So don't forget to smile. Positivity no matter what. Along the point of being a positive person, we never want to come across negative in our reactions. So if somebody says something or you don't agree with somebody, it's okay. I always say it's important to agree to disagree. And if you really feel like, okay, this person is saying some crazy things, I just don't agree, or I'm going to say something I regret, then just excuse yourself from the conversation. I think there's a lot of etiquette around conversation, and that's a good one to remember. Be hyper aware that you're not coming across judgmental. So if someone else walks into a party, to give them a look, or to, if somebody's telling a story and you are being judgmental in your response, or you make a negative comment about someone else, that is just, there's no point. It's almost like you're, without trying or without thinking, it's coming across that way. You are coming across negative. So gossip is my worst thing. But just being like, "Oh yeah, I heard about her," or "Yeah, that I saw those shoes. Woo, those are crazy." Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If that person was wearing those shoes, they feel good in them, and we need to uplift and make that person feel good and not the opposite. And if somebody else is talking about somebody else at a party, I don't want you to chime in. It's really ugly. It's such an ugly thing. It's not a likable thing. And at the end of the day, I just positivity all the way. It makes you likable. People want to surround themselves around people who spread joy. So remember that and don't fall into that trap. Next tip is mirroring body language. So if someone is really into you and leaning in and so excited to see you, then you want to, and you want to reciprocate that, you want to be likable, then having a gentle lean in is one thing too. But if somebody is leaning way back, their arms are crossed, then and you're leaning forward, you need to pick up on their social cues that for whatever reason, they're not feeling on the same wavelength as you. And that's okay, right? People, like we just talked about energy levels, people might be on a different energy or confidence level that day, and that's fine. Likable people have very high social intelligence, and you can learn social intelligence, which is the great news. But I just want you to kind of remember and be conscious that if you're really outgoing and blah, 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 and talking a million miles a minute, and someone is just standing there nodding their head, that's not a good sign. So it's just about mirroring in terms of if someone's more laid back in terms of their demeanor or kind of resting up against a sofa or whatever they are, not to be in someone's face, or not to be the opposite. If someone's really into you and leaning in and then you're kind of like, then it's an instant sign that there's no match in terms of your compatibility in that conversation or in that moment. So if you want to be likable, mirror their demeanor and their body language. We call this almost synchronized swimming, but synchronized socializing is what we kind of call it internally at Beaumont Etiquette. Synchronized socializing. It's just so important because at the end of the day, people like people that are most like them, or they have something in common with. So it's a very simple tip and it's a very simple trick. And if you are super high energy and that person is not reciprocating and you don't feel like it's going well, it's probably not. And maybe it's okay to then excuse yourself and move on to the next person or conversation. So that's okay too. And just remember that if you ever need to excuse yourself, just do it very politely. We never burn a bridge. And just say, well, it's so great speaking with you. I'm sure we'll see each other at the, around the house in the next hour or so. Now, I know that was a lot, but if you use it all in conjunction together, it's going to make you instantly more likable. Now, for me, those are a couple of my secrets or things that I've learned over the years. But I think that person who walks in is so smiley and, really makes people feel good. That's the most likable person in the room. So remember that. Ask questions. Bring joy to the room. Smile, show confidence, build people up, uplift people, and you're going to be likable no matter what. I want you to remember all these things we talked about today. Go out and practice them over and over again. You're going to start seeing a huge difference in the way that people respond to you, and you're going to start soon getting more and more invitations because you are the fun person at the party. You are the person that later on the host gets the call about, and the person says, oh my gosh, who was that Joan character? She was just like so friendly. I'd never even noticed her before. And now we've got to get together with Joan. She's amazing. Or Frank, he was so friendly. How come I've never met him before? You're going to start hearing things like that. So remember, joy, happiness, positivity equals likability. If you enjoyed today's video, thank you so much for sharing, liking, and subscribing below. I can't wait to see y'all next time, and thank you so much for tuning in.